We are in the second episode of Chai and Chill. This is my famous storyteller cup. I love your cup.
I love this. This is my latest writing cup. This is my company when I write.
It looks so nice. So before we start, I know Shomarpita Di for a very long time now. She edited one of my books, All Signs Lead Back to You. And I have always been very fascinated by editing. So I know you are also a writer, you are an editor, you used to be a journalist and then you changed. Like, I have stalked you enough on social media to know your background. So the first thing, I know we said we are going to talk about editing, but I want to know, why did you switch from journalism to editing?
So I didn't actually switch. I was always an editor. Even as a journalist, I was a desky and a copy editor. I have written as a journalist also, but my main profile was of an editor, and that is where I actually learned the ropes of editing. Like before that, even when you're studying mass comm, there is only a small premise of things that is taught to us, but only when you're on the job do you understand that what exactly needs to be done. So I had an excellent boss who used to be an editor, and after that she became a bureau chief, and I learned under her, so that gave me a lot of confidence. And so when I decided to freelance, more than writing, editing is what I wanted to do. So that was a gradual change for me, just to stop going to office and make my home my office.
Now we are in a place where everybody else is not going to office. That transition was, personally, it was very hard for me.
It must have been, because it was not something that you guys chose to do. You were forced to do it. So obviously it's very difficult.
The first thing I want to understand is, when people say that I am an editor or I want to learn editing, what is something that they should be aware of? What exactly is editing?
So editing is it's a very vast subject, and while most people do understand that it's about grammar and sentence construction, it is largely about grammar and sentence construction, but despite being largely about that, it's still just 20% of what editing involves. When somebody is editing, be it written word or be it a movie or something, the idea is that somebody had an idea and created a movie or a book or a manuscript or something. The editor is somebody who will polish it based on what the audiences will like, how it needs to be presented. So, for example, you buy something from the market, you bring the raw materials. Now somebody has to put everything together and cook the meal, and somebody else will be doing the presentation if it is a food photography thing. So editor is somebody who will be polishing everything that is there in the manuscript, not just the language. So when we talk about not just the language, it would be how somebody has created the characters, how the plot is progressing. Is it going off the track, or has it become very boring, or has it become passive aggressive, and the reader does not really find themselves involved in the plot? There are so many different things which a lot of editors don't understand if they are new in it, which I would not blame them for that, because there are things we understand as and when we progress in the curriculum. And it more than editors understanding this, I would want authors to understand this, because the manuscript is your baby, it's your child. You are sending it out to a school. So you need to know what the child will study in school and what the child will learn. So for an author, it's very important to understand that when the manuscript goes to the editor, what will happen to it and what will be the final product that they will be getting back.
Yeah. there's a very common misconception, I think, that people, if you ask them to edit something, they just proofread it and give it back to you. So there is a, I think, widespread misconception over that.
See, the misconception is because there are a lot of untrained editors out there.
Okay.
I have seen, people who have, if you go on to any Facebook group which has like a few thousand members, and somebody comes in asking for an editor, there will be people who will say that, listen, I've written 2 books, I can edit. How can you edit? You might be a very good author, but you
Yes.
cannot edit, right? So,
Right.
if an author is saying that they can edit your book, they are talking about the editing that they had done to their book, which is the self-editing part. So, plus there are a lot of people that I see who probably are very good with the language. They're excellent with the language. So they decide that they want to become editors. Fair enough. But like for every profession, it's better to study, to learn things, do a couple of courses, and understand what it takes. If you're coming up, if you already have the talent and the grasp over the language, you're already far ahead from a lot of other people. So it's better to just brush up the skills and not confuse proofreading with editing. Say, like I told you, I worked with a newspaper earlier, and there was a completely different proofreading team. Editors would edit, and then the proofreader would check. So it has to be a different set of eyes which checks for the actual missing, extra spaces, repetition of words and stuff. Those things the editor might not be able to check even if they do 3-4 rounds, because at the end of the day, this and this are linked.
Yes. So that is something I personally understood when I started working in a publishing house. Even I thought that, okay, what is so great about editing? Then once I saw my own books professionally edited, like the 3rd book when you edited it, I saw the difference of what I was writing and after I got the chapters back, the editing. Like it makes a lot of difference. Like you do need somebody. Like there's a famous joke about a pencil, I think, and a eraser, and how the editor and the writer are in a bar.
Right.
But that
And
is
what is that, like, let's take you for example. You have written a lot of books. You are, you can teach about writing probably half in your sleep. But you are a human. Your mind is a human mind. Your eyes are the eyes of an author. So whatever you are writing, if you reread that, even if you reread that 10 times, there will be things that you will not spot. So a fresh mind needs to come in. And this fresh mind needs to know what exactly is to be spotted. And another very important thing I forgot to tell about editing was that it's also important to spot plagiarism in writing, especially when editing non-fiction. Because it does happen that people pick up quotes and don't attribute and stuff. So your mind needs to be that active to actually, stop at that part and go to Google and check that, what if this is being picked up from Google. Doing everything is not humanly possible by just the author. There are times when, we don't want to copy somebody else. It might have been that, I've read something in the past, it stayed back in my mind, and I just wrote it down, not realizing that I'm using somebody else's thought or words. So that is what makes the two things different.
You've edited a lot of books by now. So what are the 3 common things you've seen writers make editing mistakes, or maybe editors make the mistakes? Like I'm sure you've also received edited manuscripts where they said that I just want you to have a look at it, I got it edited already. Like I remember seeing a post, maybe it was from you, saying that no, that is not editing. You cannot send me something and tell me that this is edited.
So one thing that happened a lot of times, and after that I had to really put my foot down, because for some reason this happens in India specifically. I don't know about other countries in the subcontinent, but we think that if we use really flowery words, big words, the most difficult sounding synonym, it's going to sound nice. So I had this manuscript wherein there were no simple words at all. Everything was, huge and bulky, and it seemed like, the author had actually sat with the thesaurus and picked up words to write. Now, put yourself in the reader's shoes. Nobody wants to learn language from your piece of fiction. If they learn a word or two, that is good, but your reader has picked up your book to read a story, or if it's a non-fiction, to learn something out of it. But definitely not language, because it's not a language book. And another thing, that if just because somebody has picked up synonyms of a word, they don't all mean exactly the same thing and don't have the same usage. So don't just pick up random words. This is one thing I especially in the beginning of my freelance career, I faced a lot, and it became very difficult for me to explain to authors that, boss, please use simple language. What you can put across in simple language to your Indian readers will be far more effective than actually trying to sound like Shakespeare. Shakespeare would not have existed in 2020, and nobody would have read what he wrote, that too in India. So understand your audience and write accordingly. Another thing was that a lot of people who went for paid publishing, they would take this package with the publisher, which also includes editing. So they were charged for editing. And when the editing round had happened, the author himself or herself could understand that not much editing has been done, and what the manuscript looks like even after editing is a pure sham. So this is when they came to me. It's really disheartening, because they are paying again for the same service which they have paid for, and it really hurts me also to see them go through this. So be very careful about who you're getting your stuff edited from. Even not just from publishing houses. A lot of people prefer cheaper services, like is pretty common around us. So probably recently, a few weeks ago, somebody got a trilogy of books edited by somebody who's studying English literature, and they themselves understood that the editing has been really bad. That's a child. I mean, at the end of the day, the person doesn't have any work experience. The person might be able to talk to you about works of literature, but editing is a different ball game altogether. So authors and editors both need to understand that it's not about being great at the language. Being good at the language is just one thing that an editor needs to be. Editing is like for everything else, editing also requires you to study the craft, to learn something, and then become a master at it.
Like I said, I got exposed to editing after the third book, and after I started working at a publishing house. I was very, very disappointed by the first editing that they did for my debut novel, because it was not very different from what I had already written. Ulta, I remember they had changed words. Like you said, they had changed words and they made things. I remember this line, it stuck in my head. I had written a line that she felt nauseous, and the editor had changed that line to I felt bile rise up. And I was like, what have you written? That's not what it means. It's been years and that line is stuck in my head.
This is also something, I actually promise right before I take up a project that I will not mess with the intent of what you've written. I will just try to make what you've written better. And a lot of authors also have this concern that, will you change my story? Will you change what I have written? No, I won't. I will tell you that you can make it better, and then you do the writing. But no editor can actually mess with the sentiment of what has been written.
Maybe it's also, I think, a little bit, we are deviating, but I think it's also the representation. Like a lot of old cinemas and old TV shows have always shown editors in a very bad light. Like Anne of Green Gables, one of the adaptations had actually shown that how an editor just steals her book and makes it his own. But like editors are shown in really bad light. But they don't understand the need for editing, which brings me to my next question, that do you think that even articles or even simple blog posts need an editor?
Now, blog posts to actually hire an editor is too much.
Yes.
So because unless you're actually earning out of the blog post, and you can split a little bit of your earnings with the editor, but otherwise it's very important that after a blog post has been written, you either run it through some app, or you read and actually at least proofread and see that nothing is wrong, the tense is not wrong, there are no repetition of words, the basic minimum needs to be done. And for articles, etc., of course, every written word that goes out in the world for people to read should be edited, and especially if it is being sold, there is nothing else. There is only one way ahead, and it has to be edited.
So for self-published books, it is normal to get an editor because people do understand that if whether you're self-publishing, you need an editor. A lot of times I've seen traditional publishing houses have editors in-house who don't do such a great job. What do you think we should do to address this problem? Because I remember, again, personal experience that I was not okay with the editor in-house. So I reached out to you and said, please edit the book. I am not very comfortable giving it to somebody else. Because the first editor had messed up that first book of mine.
So that is actually a very sad thing, and that is what authors will need to do. That even before, actually what happens is that a lot of my friends who have been my clients and they have pitched to the bigger publishing houses and got through. Even before pitching, they have run their story through me, because even when you're presenting the story, it needs to be the best version of itself.
Yes.
The editor that comes in from the publishing house might want to make some other changes, but even what you've written in your first draft or your self-edited draft is not enough to actually pitch to the bigger publications anyway. So there's this thing I keep telling, that don't write a 1 lakh word manuscript, and I say this only because it will cost you a lot. Write shorter stories so that it's easier on the pocket to get it edited.
Yes.
Another thing that can be done is that probably get so deep in the language that you yourself start understanding that how you can make your first draft better. And probably try to pitch it to a publisher who then edits it. But I myself have seen books from big publishing houses which have come up with editing errors. Now obviously there will be some human error possible, but you don't expect such a thing from people who have an entire staff in that department. Like for us freelancers, we have just one pair of eyes looking at the manuscript. But when there are 3-4 people in the editorial department, you expect them to do better. So always, at the end of the day, it's your book. Your name will go on it, and it will be critiqued as your book. So always get it edited before, by somebody you trust. It's heavy on the pocket, but.
No, but I think in the long term it is good, because I have noticed a lot of reviews saying that I found an error in the very first chapter and I stopped reading, and if they leave those reviews on Amazon or Goodreads, it kind of puts off somebody else from buying the book. It has happened to me where I would check the review, I would see somebody has written that this has grammatical error. You're automatically, no matter how good the story is, you don't want to invest your time or your money into it.
True.
So, what about a good pairing? Like, what do I have to keep in mind when I'm hiring an editor?
The first thing I would say is to do your research.
Yeah.
Don't hire the first person somebody recommends, or if you've seen somebody talk about their editing work, don't just hire them based on that. I would say vet 2-3 editors. Check them out. What are they offering? Yes, I know. I mean, the money will be going from the author's pocket, so what they're charging is also important. But just because somebody is charging 1 rupee per word doesn't mean that they're overcharging you. And the person charging 30 paisa per word might actually be leading you to a second round of editing with somebody else. Not saying that somebody who's charging won't do a good job, but I believe that if somebody is good at their job, why would they be charging 30 paisa per word? They would be charging competitive rates if they're really good at it. So yes, money is important, but please, talk to authors whose books they have edited. I have I have already spoken to 3-4 author clients, including you, whom if anybody wants, I just refer them that, pick up this book and read. I have edited them. Or if they don't have the time to read the book, they can get in touch with the author directly and take some reference. There will be a lot of people who will offer their services for cheap, which is good. I mean, fine, you want to test them, but always check the backlog that they have done. And I know it is being offered by a lot of people. Sample editing is offered by a lot of people. But if you are hiring somebody for developmental edit, 2-3 pages of sample will not tell you if they are going to do a good job with your book. So I personally do not provide sample edits. I know a lot of people who do, a lot of people who do good work and also provide a sample edit. So it's a personal choice. But since I mainly deal with developmental edit, I do not provide them. So don't be stuck on that I need sample edits and only then can I make a decision. Talk to the editor's previous clients and get an idea about how their experience was, how the books are doing, and such.
Let's talk about your personal experiences. Tell me one really good experience and one terrible experience when it came to editing.
So I fortunately have only a lot of good experiences. The best one is always when your client is not really stingy about making the payments on time. Because I might sound very odd at this moment. I mean, this is not a very popular opinion, but see, if I am getting my money on time and I don't have to worry about getting a payment, my mind is at peace and I'll be giving 200% to your management. It's as simple as that. So people who pay on time or pay before time, they, I don't have to allocate 5% of my brain into following up with them or checking on them and stuff. So that gives me better time with the manuscript. Bad experience has been that there was this one manuscript which was a non-fiction and it was authored by 2 people, and it was written mainly by one person. That person had picked up 3/4 of it from Google.
Oh no.
And there were places wherein he refused to accept that it's been picked up. Now I can't let that go. I mean, if the book has gone through me, then I can't let it go out into the market with so much of picked stuff. It reflects badly on me also. So I had to put my foot down that we can't progress with this. So we need everything rewritten. So convincing him and explaining, because over here copyright in India, people don't really give a damn about copyright and what is somebody else's intellectual property. If it's out in the internet, it's for everybody apparently, but that's not how books are written. So it took me some time to convince the person and get them to rewrite, and then we moved ahead with the book.
Actually, the very famous example of the whole copyright issue comes to mind is when Chetan Bhagat's 5 Point Someone was made into 3 Idiots, and then there was a huge controversy where they said that yes, we did take the inspiration, but we will not give you credit because we made the story our own. It was a huge thing and it went on for a long time because they refused to give him credit upfront. They put it end of the credits. This is the problem in India. A lot of books and movies that I see get made, right now they are giving credit, but if you yes, right now they are giving credit saying that the author is there. Just hold on, it started raining really badly. Take a second.
Yeah, so another good thing that happened was you going to the Hay Festival with the book.
Oh.
And yeah, that was, I think that actually pepped me up a lot, even though my editing didn't have any contribution to you going to a festival. But in some way it made me, in India, books are written, published, read, liked or disliked, and that's where the story ends.
Yes.
Nothing actually happens out of it. If you notice, of late, I think in 2020 I am seeing a lot of authors who I know getting their books made into series and stuff. They're being picked up by OTT platforms. That's happening now. Till end of 2019, books were just, the only thing that happened with books was that they were bought and read. So somebody actually going to a writing festival, that too outside of India, was a huge thing that year, and that was really exciting.
That was, but you are right about the OTT platform. I was going to ask you, like, I know it's again a little deviation from our editing conversation, but I started noticing that a lot of OTT platforms are now proactively looking for books.
Yeah.
Like, there was one.
Especially crime novels.
Yes, because I think the success of Sacred Games did that. Plus, Selection Day started catered to the younger audience.
Yes.
And I was looking at it, and they do have references to LGBTQ teens, and I was like, oh my god, they finally did it. I am so happy.
Yeah, they are being picked up, which is a very good thing.
And there is a company called, I think, The Story Inc. who does that. They read books and they pitch it to the and they pitch it to other media houses, saying that you guys don't read books. Look at this book. You can turn this into a movie, and turn this into a series. Like, if the time for content consumption is really good right now. Like, I personally feel that way. Now coming back to editing. Okay, what is something that you learned over the years of editing books that you did not know when you started off?
Like with a lot of professions, editing is also something that you need to keep on learning, reading about. Now, one wouldn't be reading about how to edit, but language keeps changing, and even the language rules which are not changing, which have been the same since we were in school. There will be times where, while editing, I'm probably stuck over a simple rule, a simple grammar rule, or a simple spelling, just because I'm facing a little bit of a mind block. So to avoid that, it's very important to keep reading about how to write, how to edit. Keep reading grammar books. I still read Renan Martin and Word Made Easy from time to time, because the brain needs to be exercised. What happens is that when somebody sits and edits, it's a very, very dull, boring job. You just stare at the screen and keep reading. In between, you type something. So if that is what somebody is doing all day during their professional time, when does the brain get its exercise? So keep doing, I've learned to keep doing grammar exercises, read about. I have not read fiction in months, because the fiction that I get to read are the manuscripts that I edit. Apart from that, I have not read any fiction in a lot of time. All that I'm reading are books about writing, editing, and grammar books. And it's been helping. It's helping me stay sharp.
I'm going to ask you one more question before we wrap up, I ask the last question. That is, you have started writing. I know you always wanted to write. I've read your stories before as well. When you are writing, you can have Somarpita, the author and the editor. Do you feel like the editor tries to creep up and say that this is not how the sentence should go? Do you have that block when you are writing stories?
It used to happen a lot, and that is what my unpublished writing is about, because whatever I was writing, I was dissatisfied with it. So then finally I started following what I have been preaching other authors, that when you're writing, you're just a writer. Forget everything, your grammar by mistake, even if now when I type, even if Microsoft Word changes the spelling or there is an error in my typing, I let it be. I move ahead with the error. And I follow the same pattern of what I actually tell authors to do. I finish my writing, I step away from it. Then after a couple of days, I come back and self-edit. Because author and editor cannot be the same person. and the Clash will never let anybody even publish a blog post, because the editor will keep critiquing and saying that, what rubbish have you written? This is not how you write. And one particular sentence can be written in 3 or 4 styles, so the style keeps changing and then the story keeps changing. It's really difficult.
Plus, I think people follow their own rules. Like, I had a supervisor who was very against the beginning a sentence with and I remember for one day we went into this loop where we were googling up articles saying that you can start sentences with and she was like, but I don't like it, and it went on, and then finally we were like, forget it, you're the supervisor, I'll do whatever you want me to do. But even the rules
tell me.
As I was saying, that even the rules of grammar at times is conflicting, because there were so many articles claiming that you can start a sentence with and so many others claiming you cannot.
Yeah. So what happens is that if I write something short, a short story or something which can be sent through phone, okay, which is not very long, I always send them to my mother to read. My mother used to be a teacher.
Yes.
Okay, and she used to be an English teacher. So she comes back with, why have you begun your sentence with and if she becomes my editor, my book will never get published, because she finds everything that is actually correct. But the thing is that language keeps evolving, and so does grammar. And when we are writing for Indian audience, even, obviously we will keep the language not pedestrian, but we have to keep it colloquial also, right? So if it's a dialogue, it will begin with and, because that's how we talk. So I know purists will say that this is wrong, but there are some things that even I let go.
But nobody speaks in perfect language when they are speaking. So that is one of the reasons I find it easy to write dialogues, because I write it the way we speak. But a lot of people have said that, but this is wrong. It's two sides of the coin, I guess.
Yeah.
This is a very, very interesting conversation. Before we go, I have heard of aspiring authors and we give a lot of gyan to what they should do to write. But I have personally met aspiring editors as well. What would your message be to them?
Study editing, because it is not the same as studying the language. Yes, you have to be good at the language that you are about to edit, but you have to understand how editing works, what all goes into it, that whatever you are editing must have simple language. I'm not saying it should have pedestrian language, but usual not colloquial, but usual language, not from the 1800s and stuff. So read, and not just about editing, like authors are told that they should read every day or read a lot, read more to write. Similarly, read more to edit. Read good pieces, good articles of read good publications, so that you understand the way language flows. The flow of language is very important, and it has to be fluid. It should not be something wherein the reader is getting stuck at a word and wondering what is it about. No, it has to be the reading experience has to be very smooth. And whatever you edit, read it back as a reader.
And do you think they can be both an editor and an author?
Very difficult. Whatever books I have published, I've made sure that they are on KDP only, so that I can pull them up anytime I'm embarrassed about them. And there will be this, there are editors who have become authors, but from personal point of view, I can tell you that the imposter syndrome is very, very high, because it's expected. An author, somebody who's just an author, just has to tell a good story or write down. If it's non-fiction, they have to just write things down. From an editor, if you pick up my book and if there is even a single mistake, it will spoil every image that you have about me. But I have been the author of that book. Nobody will remember that I was author of the book and not editor. So it's really slippery grounds. And I won't say it's impossible, But if anybody wants to write, then please write, because publishing has become so easy now that please go ahead and just send your words outside. There is always a reader for it.
Thank you so much for joining me on Chai and Chill. This was
My
very, very enlightening for me. I will link all of Shomarpita Di's social media down below. So if you're looking for an editor, you can contact her. And personally, I will vouch for her. I have not worked with many editors, but this was the best experience I had when I was writing a book.
Thank you. It was great. These were very interesting questions that you asked. I love answering.
Yay! Thank you.
Chalo.
Well, good night. Bye.
Good night. Bye-bye.